When I owned my 986 generation Porsche Boxster, I would make every argument why the mid-engine layout is the best layout. But I have been wrong once before, so I will admit that it is possible that the rear engine layout is actually better than the mid-engine layout in a few ways. With an engine sitting behind the rear axle, you get traction, and more traction. Having all that weight behind the rear axle helps push the tires into the ground, giving you much more grip when you're accelerating, especially on the rear-wheel drive cars. When you accelerate, you can really feel it hook up just the way you want it to. With the rear, mid, and front engine layouts that Porsche has, you just don't get this kind of traction. At least from a grip standpoint, a rear engine layout really is the way God intended it. Unlike the mid-engine Boxster and Cayman that requires you to take off portions of the carpet just to get to the top and front of the engine. With a rear engine car like the 911 behind me, you can easily show someone the engine just by opening the back hood. Sure, you can mainly see the air filter box, and on the newer ones, pretty much just fans, but it's better than nothing. And sure, I know you can get a clear cover for the Cayman, but don't do that. You're not in a Ferrari. With each generation of the Porsche 911, the engineers at Porsche have really worked their wizardry. Technologies like torque vectoring help make sure that the engine that was behind you doesn't end up in front of you. But even with the newest 911s, and especially the older 911s like the 996 behind me, that engine placement does require your respect. Because of all the work that Porsche engineers have done, the pre-991 generation cars really do require even more respect than the newest cars. The early 911s, especially the early turbo, could easily lose control if someone didn't know how to keep the balance in check. Most notably, people would get nervous when taking too much speed into a corner and they would let off the accelerator, which is a no-no. This would often cause the car to end up in the nearest tree. Each generation has gotten a little bit better, and by the 996 generation, the suspension setup had gotten just about right for mechanical grip without any real nanny features. Once you learn how to drive a rear engine 356, 912, 911 correctly, it really is a rewarding experience. You quickly learn how to brake early and set yourself up in the corner. Then you use all that grip coming out of a corner to really gain speed. Of course, you need to respect it, because if you get it wrong, you can easily wind up in a ditch. Not everyone cares about being able to take children in their sports car, but I have a 2-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old, and if I don't take them in my Porsche, I have to drive a minivan. Unlike my previous Boxster, because of the rear engine layout, I have rear seats. This allows me to take all 3 of my children when I need to go somewhere. Yeah, when I have to drive the minivan, it's just not fun. When most people think of Porsche, they think of a car with the engine behind the rear axle. This started with the 356, all but the very first one, and has continued with the beloved 911. Sure, Porsche has made plenty of iconic mid and front engine vehicles, but having that engine hang over the rear end is really what they're best known for. Now, if you're an automotive engineer that doesn't work for Porsche, then you would probably say that having the engine behind the rear axle is just a crazy idea. But as you can plainly see, the rear engine layout does have its advantages. And the wizards at Porsche have really made the modern 911 a very neutral handling car. This makes these newer 911s much less intimidating to drive than some of the widowmakers of the past.